There's something that happens when you start living authentically. You start actually believing in yourself and acting more powerfully. You start being more actualized. Self-actualization becomes a process that you simply enjoy. It's not something that you have to struggle with. Sure, there's still hurdles, but imagine what it would be like if you could actually make self-actualization an automatic pattern within yourself. This is what happens when you become more authentic. My name is Gregory, and I help men hack their minds to stop those habits that keep procrastinating their success and their self-actualization. Now with authenticity. I said in my last video that it has pain and potential involved in it. Now that's what I'm going to get into more in this video, because pain is a part of you, but without using it, you find that actually your experience becomes very narrow. Because without using that pain, it stays within you. Now, what happens when you operate constantly under stress and negativity and a bias that just tends towards seeing things as very, very challenging, hard, constantly lamenting the things that you didn't do or the things that you did do poorly, constantly ruminating over in your mind the things that just didn't work out the way you wanted them to, or if you wished you could have just done that one thing better. A mark of this negativity is actually a very drained energy, a very drained nervous system. Because when you're negative, it's usually because there's something that is threatening you. At least that's what the ancient mind believes. Because our ancient mind is actually, well, it's resident from that part of history where we were very, very much in danger all the time. So we learned that cortisol, adrenaline, these were useful hormones and neurotransmitters to actually have activated, but only in short bursts. We would run away, we would fight, and then the problem would be finished. But in this day and age, a lot of us live in a chronic state of this. And what's happening with that is it's causing a lot of knock-on effects. Not only lowered mood, lowered energy levels, but increased dysregulation in your system, and this is where authenticity comes in, a reduction of your potential. Because stress and anxiety, fear and trepidation about the future are so resource intensive, they narrow your experience because they literally have to draw so many resources because they are survival mechanisms. You are activating a circuitry inside of you that is designed to keep you alive. And so, of course, your body is going to put all of its resources towards that. And when you have all of these resources sapped into survival, this tension about what could happen tomorrow at work, what is this email that I'm writing going to mean for my future? Am I stacking up on social media? Do I compare well enough to belong in this society? These undercurrents, they sap your ability to create. They literally sap that energy from that creative side of your mind. You're more in the forebrain, more thinking, more trying to navigate instead of thinking of solutions, trying to find new ways to do things, appreciating your life. Serotonin then is very downregulated, and the knock-off effects of that, or rather the knock-on effects of that, are immense. Dysregulation in the whole body, inability to sleep properly because your norepinephrine is high. When you operate in this stressed mindset and you view the world as very challenging, very much against you, regardless of what's happening to you, you sap energy and resources inside of you, whether that resource is attention or energy, from being able to think creatively, make solutions happen, take action that will further you on towards your goals, because you're going to be very, very stuck energetically. Now, when I say energetically, I don't mean some woo-woo concept. I literally mean your energy. And so, though these stress neurotransmitters, those neurochemicals, these hormones of stress, have a purpose, what do you think the purpose is of your vision, of your drive, of your willingness and desire to change? because you have that burning pain inside of you, which means you recognize that there is a higher version of you that wants to come out and wants to actualize. Those two, they have functions. But if you focus only on the pain, if you spend so much time and energy in the pain, you don't have time and energy to access that other side of you that is authentically yours, that side of you that is creative, that side of you that solves problems, that has hope, drive, energy, passion, some vigor inside of you to create, to move forward in life. You are made to actualize that version. You have all the tools inside of you. When I say you're made for it, I'm referring to that authentic side of you, because you were not given that potential, that creativity for nothing. Nothing in nature exists without a purpose. So the pain has a purpose: to notice the problems in your life, to recognize when forward momentum is necessary. But that other side of potential, that purpose, that passion, that desire, that drive, discipline, perseverance, hopefulness, those exist within you for a reason as well. It's a little more challenging because they're not physical functions like your fingers. You have 5 fingers for a reason. If you look at nature, I'm gonna go back to this and I'm gonna nail this with my most favorite analogy or metaphor or whatever. The bumblebee. The bumblebee has these tufts of fuzz on its legs. And those tufts of fuzz are not there for no reason. They're not just fancy leg coverings. They are actually designed to take the pollen from the plant that it lands on. And if you look at a bumblebee, you'll see that these tufts of fur, they have pollen on them when it flies from one flower to the next. Something so seemingly tiny has a purpose. So you, an individual with drive and passion, if you're not tapping into that side of you that is potent with energy and drive and discipline and hope and burning desire for something to change, for some greatness, that potential within you, then you are not functioning wholly as a person. I mean, like, you're not functioning holistically as a person. Especially because those neurotransmitters, those chemicals, those biological components of you that associate stress, they are friends of stress, they're causes of stress, anxiety, worry. They sap so much energy, so you can't actually think clearly, sleep well. So how do you manage this? How do you get from one state to another? Well, luckily, we are human beings and we have all of these tools at our disposal. And it's only now coming out. One way that I give my clients is to talk better to themselves. And you could say there's no bad way to talk to yourself, but I think there is. Because if you're constantly telling yourself, I suck at this, this is so hard, this is impossible, you are speaking only to that one side of you. And what is stopping you? What is stopping you from speaking to that more empowered, potent, driven, disciplined, creative side of you? Is it a feeling that you're going to be judged? That you're going to be practicing in some woo-woo pseudoscience? That people are going to look at you sideways? That it's not going to work? Well, I'll give you a secret to the mind. The mind always hears what you have to say. It listens to the world around you, but then it checks in with you to see if you believe it. People may say something about you like, oh man, you really didn't handle that well. And then you have to ask yourself, did I handle that well? Or is this somebody's opinion that I'm not going to actually take on? And every time you hear somebody's opinion, that is what you do. You replace that language that you're hearing with something empowering. One I'm using nowadays is, I do this excellently. Because what's funny is your mind doesn't have a choice but to hear this. I use that particular phrasing because it's not, I do this the best out of anybody, because that's unrealistic and not true. I say I do this excellently, because that wires my mind to prepare, to focus myself in on this action, this task that I'm doing right now. And I then have my focus sharpened, my resources aligned to this task, and I end up doing it a lot better. And I'm loving it. It's actually quite potent. You can do things like, I have incredible coping skills. I'm going to make it through this. I'm going to thrive through this. Because it's up to you, the words that you choose. And your mind has no choice but to listen to those words. With my clients, we go into their thought patterns and we find out what the mind is actually saying to them. And though the mind is doing a whole bunch of wildness that we don't understand yet, modern psychology and neuroscience are only now just beginning to get the surface of what this all means, consciousness, thought. The fact of the matter is your mind is interpreting things through words. It understands words and it understands images. So another way that you can take yourself out of this restrictive, negative mindset is to actually trick your body. You actually address the nervous system, which then sends different signals through the hormones, through the neurotransmitters, by breathing confidently, by standing up straight, having your shoulders back, keeping your neck loose, your jaw loose. With my clients, we always go through, they always ask for an expanded feeling in the chest, because us men, we have so much tension that we keep bottled up in our chest, and they're tight when we get anxious. They collapse. They become very, very restricted in the chest because we're trying to protect that soft heart that feels pain but is told that we're not supposed to express it, we're not supposed to address it. Because men have a lot of responsibilities, we have a lot to give to the world, and because of that, we don't really have time to deal with your stuff. But that's the problem. When you don't deal with that stuff, you don't deal with that pain, when you don't move that emotion through you, you cause a lot of harm to yourself because you're reducing, and you cause a lot of harm to the people around you because you're reducing that potential. You're taking the energy away from that creative side, that side that's going to come up with the answers, to make balanced decisions with a clear mind. These are parts of you that exist, and by constantly stressing, not moving those painful emotions through you, not resolving those, you keep your mind working and churning on some problem that is in the past and is unresolved. So you can trick your mind by breathing slowly. Breath holds like the 3, 6, 7, 8 breath hold. There's a few different breath holds, and I don't want to start singing the 50 Cent song, Get Low. That's not 50 Cent. Little John. The 3, 7, 8 breath hold. That's one of those that will reset your nervous system by just being tricked by your breath. Because when you're calm, you're breathing slowly. And then one more way to get yourself out of this survival mindset is to rewire this mind of yours deeply through subconscious reprogramming. Your mind has like an operating system where it's digesting food automatically, blinking, breathing, your heartbeat is operating normally, but also it's operating without your agency, without your needing to monitor it, is your identity, your idea of yourself. These ideas of you, they're written into your mind like a program. And what I've done for myself, I've actually rewired that deep program within myself and made it a very positive, supportive, energetic program that has been building benefits in my life for the last little while. It's been unreal. I've made more money. I've been more calm. I've been more healthy. I've slept better. I'm much more disciplined. I have much more capacity to actually take on the things that I know will help me further myself in life, because I've changed that internal dialogue, those words that play in the background that are in that program. I've done it through something called RTT, and now I do it for my clients. It is a way of automating all of this effort to try to steer your mind. And it makes all of these other practices much more automatic. It's truly phenomenal. If you're more interested, there's a link in my description below. It may seem like a lot to shift from that negative, pessimistic, procrastinating mind that constantly sabotages you into a mind that is supportive. All of this work may seem like a lot of work, but isn't it also a lot of work dealing with that anxiety? Isn't it also a lot of work to constantly be ruminating about something you could have done better? Isn't it a lot of work to dread that meeting or put off that project because you're just not ready, or things are very hard, or I don't have enough money, or this or that? Isn't that a lot of work? Aren't you tired of having your energy sapped by that negativity? I'm here to tell you that change is definitely possible. If you want to stop procrastinating that beneficial change so that the people around you, your family, your employees, your coworkers, your friends can start enjoying a more empowered, self-actualized version of you that has momentum, that is constantly stacking up wins, I'm launching a group of men who are working on our money mindset. It's called the Masculine Money Mindset, and is launching on February 15th. And if you're coming to this video later and you've missed it, after the 6 weeks, there's going to be a group of men that are hacking our minds to be more active and focused on our goals. We're using the power of subconscious reprogramming, these nervous system empowerment techniques, and the collective mind, so each other's collective attention, to further our goals. It's going to have limited seats at first, but over time I'm going to expand it, and more men are going to be open to come into it. My goal is to transform the mental health and capacity for men around the world to change their lives. If this is something that you're passionate about, you want to see the world elevate itself by empowering and freeing the men in the world of all of the pain that's unnecessary, all of the procrastination and bad habits that sap them from their higher potential and their self-actualization, then please share this. I thank you so much for watching this far, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing from you and seeing you in the Masculine Mindset group. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself physically as well as mentally. Speak well to yourself and do something you love. Do something you've always been curious about doing, because passion is a very important part of being a human. And take it from me, when you start doing things for you, things that you like, that you can't explain to anybody, you free yourself of so much self-judgment, which is, again, a lot of energy that can be going to other places. I'm wishing you all the best. Take care of yourself, like I already said. Peace.